Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Friday Reflections on this, the 18th of February, 2022. I hope you are well wherever you're tuning into this from, and looking forward to the weekend. But having said that, in the UK, we are currently experiencing one of the worst storms on record. So I hope none of you are caught in it and everybody is safe. Wherever you are. Of course, I'm sure that's not the only storm going on this earth at the moment, but in the UK is one of the worst we've experienced in a number of years. Alhamdulillah, I'm safe, my family, and I pray people are safe at this time. Today, I would like to read from one of Mawlana Shaykh Nazim's books, Liberating the Soul, a guide for spiritual growth, volume 3. And I'm going to read from Sohbet number 13, which is on page 73 of the book. Making a way to your real personality in the divine presence. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. By the name of Allah, the Almighty, All-Merciful, most benevolent and most munificent. Each time we are saying, most beneficent, most munificent. And Allah Almighty is asking His servants to be merciful to His creatures, always mentioning and proclaiming His attributes of mercy. You must also be merciful to each other, because Allah Almighty, with His mercy oceans, gives to His creatures, and all creatures in existence take their shares from the mercy oceans, which belong to His holy name. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful or the most compassionate. It is impossible to finish these mercy oceans, which belong to His holy name, Ar-Rahman, because everything that belongs to Allah Almighty is endless. And then He is also Ar-Rahim, which means the most kind. There are mercy oceans which belong to the holy name Ar-Rahim, indicating to His servants to be merciful to all other people and to everyone in existence. Very, very important point, both about Islam and about our own spiritual journeys. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts an emphasis on His divine names of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. So much so that before we begin almost any surah of the Quran, or anything we do, we read Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most kind. This is the very essence of God's nature, that God is compassionate and kind. Prophet Muhammad also said in a hadith that when you pray to Allah, call upon Him by the name Ar-Rahman, the compassionate or the merciful. This is the attribute of Allah that Allah wants us to focus on and to understand Him by. Not to say that the other attributes aren't there, but there is a focus on rahmah, on mercy and compassion, kindness. There is also another hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said that it is written upon Allah's throne that His mercy overcomes His wrath, that God's compassion overcomes His anger. Such is the emphasis on compassion, kindness. And this is what Mawlana Shaykh Nazim is highlighting here. Allah's endless mercy oceans. And Mawlana continues and says, we as human beings, the sons of Adam, must be people of much more understanding, as Allah Almighty is teaching us through his prophets and holy books. All of us were in the same universe before coming to this life. Everyone's soul is coming from the spiritual world or from the heavens. And it is in this form during this life. All of us, we were in the spiritual world, all our souls. But I don't think that we were quarreling or fighting there. A very poignant point at the moment, isn't it, with the tensions in the world. And Mawlana is pointing out that when we were in the spiritual realm, before we were born to this earth, we were not quarreling or fighting there. So why are we quarreling and fighting here? Do you think such a thing? Who remembers? Almost no one remembers. We have only certain exceptions where Allah Almighty opens the veil to his servants. Then he knows. And just to recap here as well, Mawlana is highlighting because Allah's names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, Allah's nature is compassionate and kind. And whatever other attributes, they all go through the attributes of compassion and kindness. And Mawlana highlighted in the second paragraph here, you must also be merciful to each other because Allah Almighty, with his mercy oceans, gives to his creatures. So before I turn the next page, I just wanted to recap on that. Because Allah is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, and we're calling upon the Rahmah, the compassion and kindness of Allah, we too must be compassionate and kind to our fellow human beings, whoever they are, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Christians, whether they are sinners or whether they are saints. We need to be kind to them all. And Allah looks upon that, and Allah appreciates that. Prophet, the Prophet ﷺ did highlight this about being kind and compassionate. People forget that today, especially with all the propaganda. Mawlana Shaykh Nazim continues, our Grand Shaykh, may Allah bless him, was speaking and he asked the question, what is the benefit of all Shariat and Tariqat? What is the aim of the prophets and of their messages? From the beginning up to the end, for what does Allah Almighty send his prophets and his messages? And what is he going to teach people through his Sharia and through his Tariqah also? Tariqah and Sharia are from the same source, no difference. But now people have changed their understanding and are getting a wrong meaning of Tariqah. So here, there's two words that Mawlana is using here. And they both actually mean path or road. They're two different words that actually are different words for path or road. One is Tariqah and one is Sharia. Today, Tariqah tends to be associated with Sufi orders, Sufi groups. And Sharia tends to be understood as Islamic law, which is understood in different ways, but today people often misunderstand that and understand it in a very rigid form. Whereas that's just one approach, that's just one understanding of Sharia. Mawlana continues, Tariqah is mysticism in every religion, and it must be. As we are not going to be without hearts, you can't be only a form. an external appearance. There is something inside also. So every religion has some external functions or actions, and some others also, which are inner, internal. It must be. Do you think that oceans or seas are only what we see, blue water with nothing inside it? So many creatures it covers. Now, what is Mawlana on about here? Well, tariqah is mysticism in every religion. What does he mean? Well, if you look within the Abrahamic traditions, for instance, within Judaism, you've got the external form of Judaism. You've got the synagogues, the religious buildings, and you've got the various forms of formal prayer that come from their prayer books that they read within the synagogues. The formal service. And they also read scripture. I've actually been and sat through synagogue services. They read scripture, usually in Hebrew, but maybe in other languages in some countries. And they read prayers. It's a very formal form of worship. But also within Judaism, they have something called Kabbalah. And Kabbalah is a form of mysticism. It is a different way of worshipping, and it is less formal. It's more about hearts coming together and awakening the spirit within inside of us and connecting to the oneness that unites us all. Form of mysticism, but very similar to Sufism in many respects. But the way it is explained sounds a little bit different initially, because obviously it is a different audience. So it's explained slightly different. Similarly, within Christianity, you have the churches, a physical, outward expression of the religion. Within the churches, you have formal religious services. You have the priest or the pastor at the front who speaks and leads the congregation in singing formal hymns and reading formal prayers together. In a similar way, like we read Salah, it looks different, but it forms the similar kind of side of the service. It's very formal. It's led by, instead of an imam, it's led by a priest or by a rabbi. You've got this formal side of religion. And whatever state the people's hearts are in this, their real spiritual condition, everybody takes part in that service, and they get whatever they get from it. But it creates a formal space where the people come together. In addition, in both of these religions, within Judaism and within Christianity, there also be their own. In the past, it was called religious law, still is within Judaism. Within Christianity, it's become more of a set of guidelines or code by which they run their churches. And it's not really called canon law anymore like it used to be in the past, but it's that they have their rules, obviously, that they follow. And, this, it goes around things such as marriages, what's accepted within a marriage, within that particular religious group, divorces, it can have, whether that, legally, you probably got a separate system within the secular system, but whether those marriages or divorces are recognized within that religious congregation, they have codes of conduct. Just like we have the Sharia within Islam, which guide their outward actions. Also, they will have codes on how much alms giving to give to the church, and I guess the Jews must have something similar within their tradition. And we're just mentioning Abrahamic faiths here. Obviously, there must be similar things within Buddhism, within Hinduism, within their congregations. But at the same time, this is all just, in a way, kind of fairly normal actions normal kind of life, but he's not really discussing the heart. And that's where the tariqah comes in, the Kabbalah within Judaism. Within Christianity, they also have forms of Gnosticism and Christian meditation. And similarly, within Islam, we have Sufi tariqahs. And there's also al-Haqqani groups within Shia Islam as well, which focus on the heart and on the soul and the person's spiritual journey. And really, this is the actual essence that it all starts from. But the other side of it comes from the need that when you have an organization or you have a community, you have to organize it. You have to have certain rules in place and certain guidelines in order to make it work. But that's not really the heart of what the spiritual path is about. But these two things are from the same source initially, or at least the initial inspirations that they're built upon. And so, from Mawlana that's why Mawlana is saying that tariqah, the spirituality, and the Sharia, the religious law, are from the same source, no difference. But now people have changed their understanding and they're getting all wrong the meaning of tariqah. This is what Mawlana is saying in the fact that they're from the same source, and they're two kinds of disciplines. They're supposed to complement each other. And when they do, then the whole religion works, and it's spiritually nourishing for people in the society, and it helps them build prosperous communities where people are happy and everybody benefits. That's the idea behind it. Mawlana continues, tariqah is mysticism in every religion, and it must be. As we are not going to be without hearts, you can't be only a form, an external appearance. There is something inside also. So every religion has some external functions or actions and some others which are hidden, internal, must be. Do you think that oceans or seas are only what we see? Blue water with nothing inside it. So many creatures it covers. Therefore, you can't find any religion without mysticism. Must be, yes. And our Grand Sheikh was speaking and asking that question, what is the purpose of every Sharia and of every tariqah? For what are they making people to act, to work, to worship, to fast, to do charities, to believe, or to do anything else? And he was giving that question's answer, that all the wisdom of the Sharias and their orders and actions in every religion is because we are, all of us, in prison during this life. In the womb of your mother, you were looking at the heavens. And also, when it comes to this life, for 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days mostly, that new baby looks at the heavens, no veil on its heart's eyes. After that, they are veiled. The veil coming and no more looking. There are only certain exceptions among mankind who are not veiled ever, not covered. And Grand Sheikh said, concerning these exceptions, I am one of them. Not I, but Grand Sheikh was. When he opened it to me, I was looking, no worry. From the time of his birth up to the end, he was saying, Oh, Nazim Effendi, I never veiled my heart. And the main purpose and divine wisdoms of Shariats and Tariqahs is only to take away that veil that comes on your heart's eyes. It is only for that opening. In other words, the whole point of the Sharias and the Tariqahs is to open our hearts, connect them, but they are actually connected to the divine. But for a lot of people, they're not perceiving that. They're not seeing it. They're not realizing it. And that's what Mawlana is saying by the veil. It's like there is something stopping us from realizing that connection that all of our hearts have to the divine, to God. And all of our hearts have also to each other. Anybody who comes to this realization is completely transformed in the way that they are towards God and the way that they are towards not only other human beings, but all of creation. Because they realize everything's connected. And that's what Shariahs and Tariqah is kind of like the medicine that helps us to realize that. It's a spiritual healing for us. That's the purpose of it. But that doesn't mean that, unfortunately, people can warp these things and change their meaning. And then we have problems and it no longer fulfills its original purpose. Mawlana continues, therefore, the Holy Quran begins with the surah of opening, al-Fatiha. That surah opens to you. If a person looks at al-Fatiha for the meanings which any scholar may know, he will be able to acquire all of the meanings of life of men through those 7 verses of the surah of opening. And those are the actions of the Sharia in Islam. But when you keep to that surah by way of tariqah, it brings you an opening through your heart. When you reach that station, when the veils are taken from your heart's eyes, you will find yourself in the same universe that you were in before in the spiritual world. We are still there, as the sun is in the sky, while it is also on earth. We are saying the sun is here, while the sun is in the skies. It is just the same situation for your soul. Everyone's soul is like a shining sun, and it has a station in the heavens, in the divine presence, never leaving its worshipping, never leaving, it's glorifying its Lord, Allah Almighty. Very interesting point here. Mawlana is saying that while each of us is here in this life, we think we are here, and in a sense we are. But I don't know if anybody's seen the film The Matrix. The reality is more like that. Like, the people are in the Matrix and they think that they're in the Matrix. And in a sense they are, but their bodies are actually somewhere else. But in this case, what Mawlana is saying is, instead of our bodies, our souls are somewhere else. But we don't realize that. And Mawlana is saying that our souls are still in the divine presence. They're still in the presence of God, in that universe that we were in before we were born into these lives in this world. And the people whose spiritual eyes open, they see that. They come to that realization. Then they perceive it. Mawlana uses the example that it's like the sun. Because if you look up at the sky, don't look directly at the sun. It's actually very bad for your eyes. But like we see the sun in the sky, and some people might say the sun is in the sky, but the sun isn't actually in the Earth's sky as such. It's not in the Earth's atmosphere. It's not actually here. The sun is millions of miles away, and the Earth is orbiting the sun. But it looks to us like the sun is in the sky. And in a sense it is, because we see it's there. But the sun is really millions of miles away. And Mawlana is saying our souls are like that. They are here, yes, but in reality, they're really somewhere else, and they're in the divine presence. And they're always worshipping Allah. And Mawlana continues and said, don't suppose that our souls are sitting in silence like this. All of them in the divine presence were glorifying and praising their Lord, Allah Almighty. And they are continuing the same thing. But we are here, and from that shining light of our soul, only one ray is coming and commanding this body. So one ray of light is coming from our soul into this body and commanding this body. But our soul is really there. If the whole of one's soul's power were to appear in this world, it would quickly melt, and going away, it would not be able to carry it. Therefore, Allah Almighty only sends one ray representing your personality, which is in the divine presence, to come into this world. So you see why I likened it to the example in the Matrix, where the person is actually in the Matrix and is plugged in, but they think they are within that life in the Matrix, but they're actually still in the same place, always in the same place. Their mind, their actual mind is somewhere else. In this case, as souls are actually somewhere else. And we have these models now, so we can visualize this, which it's amazing actually this is written like this, because there was no Matrix film when, you know, this was initially discussed. And we are trying to be in contact with our realities, with our real existence in the heavens and in the divine presence. Therefore, prophets, messengers came from Allah Almighty to make a connection through our hearts to those heavenly stations. That is the meaning of all the practices in every religion. And finally, the aim of every practice or worship in Islam is to make a connection from yourself to your real personality in the divine presence. The one who may reach his divine position is a real deputy of his Lord, Allah Almighty. That is the meaning of the Prophet saying, die before you die, so that you may reach real life in the divine presence. Whoever dies before dying reaches peace, absolute peace, and absolute happiness. He reaches his universe that Allah Almighty gives to him and makes him sultan, sovereign in his territory in the divine presence. They do not sit like this all together, but in an endless divine territory, each one taking what Allah Almighty gives to him. And no one knows his importance in the divine presence. Therefore, as much as you improve in divine knowledge, which passes through yourself, self-knowledge, you may feel more refreshment in your heart. You may feel that you are in an endless world, never inside a narrow space. And as much as you improve in divine knowledge, you will want more, because you will receive more pleasure and ask for more. Perhaps you may send a little boy to school by force, because he has not yet tasted anything of knowledge. But when he reaches a position of tasting what he reads and understanding it, he is going to be pleased with learning and to ask for more and more. And subhanAllah, this is true. I remember when I went to school, sometimes I didn't like going to school either. But then after I left school, I bought so many books. I read so many books. I kept reading, researching, sitting with teachers, sitting with people, listening to them. That is so true, isn't it? And even now, my wife complains because I keep buying books. I can never have enough. And I suppose out of all the worldly possessions that we could have, books are probably one of the best because they educate us. But depending on what books you get, of course. But anyway, Mawlana continues. As much as you may have of divine knowledge, it will give you more pleasure, more happiness, more satisfaction. And we are also in need to know or to ask for more divine knowledge in order to reach peace during our lives. And the way to divine knowledge passes through ourselves. When you are sitting in your station in the divine presence, I mean to say, when there is a connection from your heart to your real personality in the divine presence, there will always flow from it to you, to your heart, more divine knowledge through yourself, because divine knowledge comes to your real personality in the divine presence, and you may take from there to your heart, and your pleasure will grow, never ending. And this is something else. When you actually connect to your real personality, then divine inspirations, what Mawlana calls divine knowledge here, they can flow to you through your presence in the heavens, through to your heart here. Anybody who's had inspiration will realize what that is, but I suppose there will be some people that if you haven't experienced it, you might find it a strange concept. Therefore, we must try to practice the spiritual ways of Islam because it is important and necessary for our lives in order to reach real life and to reach real deputy stations while we are in this life. 3 times each day, Allah Almighty gives His servants more favors. You must be ready to receive more divine favors. Those who find their Lord's divine favors find them during these 3 times. During the 24 hours from Asr up to Maghrib is one of the most precious times when divine manifestations come on people. And you must be ready to receive that with your heart. Then from Maghrib up to Isha. And when night passes and there remains the last 1/3 of the night, that is the most precious time. The one who wants spiritual improvement, he must look after that time. Those first 2 times are also such precious times, but the most precious of all is during the 3rd and last part of the night, just before the dawn. It may be 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, or 5 hours or more, according to the length of the night. You must be ready at that time to accept the spiritual and heavenly rays that touch your heart. No one reaches his divine station without awakening at least as long as the time of praying 2 rakats before dawn every night. That is a limited time, but at least you must be there, ready, even if only for 2 rakat, 2 units of prayer. You may take a shower, wusul, that is best, either a shower or wudu, and then stand facing Qibla, pray 2 rakat and then sit, seeing to it that no one is with you except one, i.e. Allah. Not your wife or your parents or your friends. No one may be with you. Only one is going to be with you, and you must think that this is the time I am here alone. Everyone has gone from me, and only one is with me. My Lord is with me. From every direction, inside, outside, he is with me. And O my Lord, I am with you. Then there rains upon you from the heavens rays of lights, divine lights, preparing your heart, taking it away from this life's preoccupations and making you in the divine presence. And you know, this, I mean, the best time for this is the time that Mawlana said during the last part of the night. Possibly part of the reason for that is because most people are sleeping, so you're more likely to be alone at that time. But even if you find some other time during the day when you can pray alone, meditate alone, you'll feel the benefits of this because, of course, you're not alone. When you're alone, you're with Allah. And also, I'm reminded of something that's mentioned in the New Testament, words attributed to Jesus, peace be upon him, where he said, do not pray like the pagans pray in front of everybody and making a big show of it, I guess you could say. He said, go and pray by yourself in a quiet place. And this is the same principle here, praying by yourself on your own. That's not to say you shouldn't pray with other people. You should. Both are important. And you'll feel different benefits from both. But sometimes, at least to take some time out and pray just with no one else with you, just with Allah, in a quiet place. And you feel the benefits of it. Because really, this is your spiritual path. It's your spiritual journey back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not doing this to impress anybody else. It's just about you and Allah. So it's very important you take some time out to pray or to meditate just with Allah, without anybody looking at you, without anybody being with you, without anybody distracting you. And then you will really feel the connection to Allah. Mawlana continues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nights, 10 nights, 12, 20, 30 nights. If you are keeping that with your Lord, it should be yours. He should grant to you some lights in your heart. And it is the beginning of an opening for you. And then when you feel that opening, you must continue. Because the most important miracle is to continue on your way without turning back. And every 40 nights, a new light comes to gather in your heart until that light cuts the veil in your heart, making an operation, taking it away. And you are looking at your universe that Allah granted to you. Well, I hope you found that interesting and food for thought. I'm going to leave it there today. And don't forget, I'll be back, inshallah, on Monday at the university at 5 p.m. for a weekly Sufi meditation circle. Also, if you're students at the university, keep in mind that between 2 and 4 p.m. every Monday, I have a drop-in session with your chaplain. So if you have anything you would like to discuss with me, or you just simply like to enjoy general chit-chat and a cup of tea or coffee, you're most welcome at the St. Francis Hall, which is the multi-faith chaplaincy in the University of Birmingham. So for students, I'm there between 2 and 4 p.m. every Monday, barring unforeseen circumstances. And at 5 p.m. on Mondays, that's when I start my Sufi meditation meeting, which I also broadcast online. And on Fridays, around maybe 7 or 8ish, I do Friday reflections. If you find these videos and live broadcasts useful, please don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channels. You can find them all by searching for Paul Salahuddin Armstrong, and my website at paulsarmstrong.com. If you're in the UK, I wish you all a very good and blessed evening and a wonderful weekend. And hopefully, inshallah, the weather will improve. And wherever you are in the world, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all.